So apart from the sunshine, what brings us to mainland Europe?
So basically it wasn't really part of our plan to be here, but our ghost founder decided to move out here, and we kind of just saw an opportunity to both reduce our costs and be closer to the manufacturing industry here in Europe. Because we can kind of more easily access Europe from here. And there's also a lot of manufacturing industry in Spain itself. It just means we're logistically closer to what we need, but we also get to save costs by living here, as we don't have a huge amount of funding. That's kind of the practical reasons why we're in Spain. Obviously we do get to enjoy better weather here, and better food, and yeah.
Trying to launch the glasses on Kickstarter, ideally in the next few months. But for that, we need to build an audience, and that involves testing with ads, testing content, and essentially just building up an audience. So that's what we've been doing in January, just running a few tests, and we'll share more about it after we get our
Cafe con leche.
We started to run Facebook ad tests in the UK and the US, and from those tests we saw that the best kind of ads were one where we're comparing the product to other products that people are already familiar with, so like loop earplugs. So the ad was basically just like loop earplugs but for your eyes. So on the first few tests we had really high acquisition costs and a high cost per lead. We did see that the ads were actually doing great, so the click-through rate was really high, but when people actually landed on the page, the conversion rate was really low. So that obviously implied that we should change something on the landing page, and we saw that a lot of people made it to our reservation page, but at that point they wouldn't give their email. So most of the other Kickstarter pages would have a email input field on the first homepage. We decided not to do that first, but that was the change we made, and we significantly reduced the lead costs it went from maybe €13 to €2 to €3, and the acquisition cost also divided by 2. So that was great. Just some advice for anybody starting out on Facebook. I noticed that a lot of people get stuck up on just like the nitty-gritty details of the ad structure and whatnot, and to be honest, all of those little things probably add up to 20% of the output or the result, while things like the creative or the landing page are probably your main culprit, and if not, it's probably your offer, which is like the biggest factor of the whole thing. So we're also testing other channels, like just recording like founder-led content. So Joel took over that for January while I was away. What was your experience with that?
It's not something I'm used to. It's kind of hard to think about how to capture your process while actually like doing the work as well. You're also kind of thinking about how to make content, which is an additional task. So I was like trying to record little bits, probably overthinking it as well. And Vadim has a lot more experience of kind of making that kind of content. So when he came back, we're starting to record more daily content and get it out there more quickly, which is great. And we've also been kind of finding opportunities through it. There's people who have been seeing our content and getting in touch, which is cool. And it's just cool to kind of share the journey, share what we kind of get up to, as I don't think you really see it that often. So that's been good as well.
And I know sometimes people get really caught up on like views and those vanity metrics, but the reality is, even if you're getting 500 views per video, if you can just imagine sitting in front of 500 people and getting your message out, like that's pretty crazy. Like I can't imagine saying something in front of 500 people. So I think there is power, even if like those first few steps are obviously small, but I think if we keep putting in the reps of just making content every day, we'll get better at sharing the story, because I think there's so much that we can record. It's just like breaking it down to something that people find interesting and valuable, and condensing it, because there's a lot of detailed stuff that maybe people just, don't find entertaining. So, what else did we do? We hired a PCB engineer. So, kudos to.
It was actually a really easy process. So it was good because we didn't have to go through like a hiring process. We didn't have to go through like a job posting thing or interview people, which I couldn't even imagine myself doing. So we had kind of a consultant engineer who's been advising us on how we should go about building our PCB and developing all of that. And he basically connected us to one of his friends who's a really experienced engineer and could, very quickly, develop our PCB. So yeah, we just like decided to consult him. And it's been going really well so far. It's been interesting working with someone who's like has more experience than you, and like is senior to you, and I'm just like, do this.
All our electronics knowledge is from ChatGPT, guys.
Yeah,
More or less.
so yeah, I'm just like I'm like learning kind of on the fly as this whole journey has been, I guess. But yeah, it's been cool to kind of have someone experienced work on our PCB, and he's doing a really great job. So that's really helping us advance our prototypes as well.
And any product updates for everybody on the major Oasis, not the prototype?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing has been securing our R&D partner for the lens tech that we're using. So that was kind of one of the biggest challenges we had even last year, was finding someone who could make that tech for us, as there's not a lot of people who specialize in it. So we were able to secure that last month. And so now they're prototyping our lens shape in Japan, which is really cool. And we're getting in samples, and in a couple of weeks we'll be able to kind of show you a pretty good functional prototype of the product. So yeah, that's really exciting.
And will Oasis be made in China, or?
That's one of the big questions we've been discussing for the last couple of days, weeks, is where we're actually going to make this product. Obviously, the most obvious location is China. That's where most things are made. But we kind of have received some advice that it could be good to actually manufacture this product in Europe, because we'll have more control over the production line. We'll be able to kind of, have a good overview of how things are going. Whereas if we were manufacturing in China, there's a kind of a communication barrier. Logistically, it's more difficult. Like we talked about, moving to Spain, so we're closer to the industry here. But if we had to get it manufactured in China, that's a whole different story of travel and communication and everything. So we're kind of leaning on the side of making these glasses in Europe, at least initially. And we're just trying to figure out how to do that. We're looking into 3D printing even as a possible production technology, which could be really exciting. But yeah, that's been a challenge for us. But yeah, we're going to see how that goes as well.
Part we kind of skipped was the expectations versus the reality side of things. Ever since we raised money, just off the top of the bat, like the money goes pretty fast. I think it sounds great and it sounds like a lot, but it just disappears basically.
Yeah, especially because like hardware startups are really resource heavy, so you really kind of burn through money very quickly, and so yeah, you hear about startups raising this much and that much, and it like sounds great, like in the news article or on the wherever it is, but like businesses are really expensive, and there's a lot more that you need to pay for than you'd think, basically. And so even how much we've raised, like just over 100K, in terms of startups, that's like almost the minimum you could probably raise. So yeah, it's we know what we're doing. Well,
We know what we're doing.
we kind of know what we're doing. So we have a plan. Like it's
We know what we're doing.
we know what we're doing.
Investors listening.
Like we've planned what we've raised for essentially to get us to where we need to go before we need to maybe do a crowdfund or a second funding round. And that was kind of the purpose of this round. We kind of wanted to do more testing, gather more data, know what we're doing before we raise like a big amount of money or go to market. So yeah, it's going okay so far. And yeah, I think it's just the main thing is expectations versus the reality of raising funding and what that funding looks like. So
So we're going to wrap it up because we've actual work to be doing now. We've opened up our reservations, which comes with a 3D print that we're working on. And what else does it include?
So it also has a sample of our intent cards. And basically early reservers can get the final product at a discounted price with a free pair of our magnetic frame attachment as well. So yeah, we're trying to get those out pretty soon. We have 100 of them to make, and we're having a bit of logistical issues, but it's all going okay, and we'll be able to get those prototypes out to people who reserved early.
We don't know that.
Oh, we do
For the series.
Oh,
We don't know that. Yeah, for anyone who's interested, you can check out our Instagram. We're doing a little mini series of just the day-to-day of actually trying to ship these 3D prints. So if you're interested, yeah, that's there. Okay, till next time.
adios.
Episodio, what's 3?
Uno, dos,
Tres. Episodio 3.